Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for all the support on the channel this week. The channel has doubled in subscribers this week, and I just want to give a huge thank you to all of you that have been subscribing. And if you have, been with the channel for a long time, I hope that you like the new type of content. I'm trying to change it up a little bit to make sure that I can make videos for you guys while also not having to dedicate, an entire day out of my week to making videos, because I get busy. I'm sorry, I get busy. But today I wanted to talk about Star Wars Mandalorian season 3 finale, and why a lot of people don't think that this season lived up to its potential, and kind of what the producers can do better and what we can do better as a community, because I know Star Wars community can get kind of toxic really fast, and what we can do better to make season 4, if they make a season 4, the best that it can be. So if you guys like the video, make sure to like the video to show your support. Comment your thoughts down below, because I love talking to you guys in the comments and just kind of getting your guys' opinions on these different topics. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So I think expectations were definitely set kind of high leading up to the finale of Mandalorian Season 3. I think the season itself did not leave a lot of people excited for the finale, but I think when you look at outside of the show and what the producers say and what Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau say about, the upcoming finale, they act like it's going to be, one of the biggest things that they've ever worked on, one of the most emotional. And what sucks is when producers do that, it gets people really excited, and it starts to stir conversation. And, how big is this finale actually going to go? And I think a big problem with that is that it never, ever in the history of producers hyping up their episodes has ever paid off. I've never, ever seen it pay off like this. Like this, great episode that they talk about. It never happens, because they set the expectation so high. And I think producers need to start realizing that, I get what they're trying to do. They realize that the season is not that good. This happened with, WandaVision being kind of divided. This happened with a lot of other Marvel series where people did not, see the quality that they wanted in the show, and they stop watching. But then one of the cast members or the producers or the writers comes out and they say, oh, this next episode is going to blow minds. There's going to be so many surprises. It's going to be really emotional. But then it never happens. And they do that to get people to watch the show that they work so hard on, and hoping that, they can change their mind. But the problem with that is that they set the expectations too high. Another problem is that the Star Wars community has been in kind of this mode since season 2 of Mandalorian, where if there isn't like a cameo in the season or like some big, surprise, then people get really disappointed. And I think that that's kind of becoming the norm for Marvel as well. But especially if you look at Book of Boba Fett, I just rewatched that show. I binged it with my girlfriend because she's watching Star Wars for the first time. And I thought Book of Boba Fett was fine. There's that. I think the only bad episode is that episode with the dumb car chase scene that is super slow. You guys know what I'm talking about. But other than that, I think the entire show is actually pretty good, and it works really well. The only problem that I remember from when that show was coming out is everyone wanted Mace Windu to show up, or everyone wanted, Cad Bane to show up, but they didn't like how Cad Bane was done and stuff like that. And I think as a community, we just need to lay off a little bit when it comes to our expectations for shows. Let the universe be, what they're trying to build. I feel like if I was making a Mandalorian season 4, there would be all this pressure for me to include a billion other characters that I don't want to use. If it was up to me, I would want the story to be mainly focused on Mando and Grogu. But that's just me personally. But I can see where the writers are probably feeling some pressure. And I just think those two things can be things that, you know, we work on as a community, and the producers can work on as, you know, promoting the show. As for the episode goes, I think the episode was actually really good for what it tried to achieve, and that was capping off the season. I think a lot of people, most people actually, can agree that this season was not up to the same standard as season 1 and 2, and that's understandable, you know, to be upset about. The only thing that I don't like is people bashing on the finale, saying that it wasn't a good finale. And I think that the finale actually worked really well in what the season was trying to do. The season was trying to set up Moff Gideon, you know, doing his cloning, which happened kind of fast towards the last like 3 episodes, so I kind of agree with that. But the unification of Mandalore was a big part of this season, and they did that really well in this finale, as well as capping off the Mando versus Moff Gideon storyline. You know, Moff Gideon escaped, Mando stopped him, but he can't do it by himself because, you know, he gets this new armor, he gets this like almost lightsaber, it looks like the Red Guards type of weapon, you know, and you know, they're both getting stronger and they're both getting better, and Mando can't do it by himself. And I think that the whole show as a whole is kind of showing you that you can't do everything by yourself. Mando can't go through life by himself. He needs the Mandalorians. He needs this community behind him. Because when things are important to you and they get threatened, you need help sometimes. And he even needs help from Baby Yoda in this finale. And don't hate me for saying Baby Yoda. I use Baby Yoda and Grogu like interchangeably. But one thing I'm really glad of is that they got a happy ending if they decide to end it like this. You know, they don't have to make a season 4. They ended it pretty well. I wish they would have spent a little bit longer explaining what happens next to a lot of the characters. But if this is where they end Mando and Grogu's story, I think it's a good ending, is that they get a happy ending, which does not happen very often in Star Wars. Nobody's turning evil, nobody's dying, nobody is, you know, getting corrupted by the Empire. It is a happy ending for once, and I think it's kind of refreshing to see that. As well as, you know, this episode did really good in the action department. They wasted no time getting into the fight, having lots of cool choreographed moments. And are you kidding with that flying scene? Like the scene where they're flying and fighting, that scene was like some of the best Star Wars shit I've seen in a few years, me personally. Because I would love to see them do that with the clones, and a live action clones, you know, if they want to do like a special or a live action clone series, just something like that where we can see more choreography like that with them fighting in the air, because I think that's something that they have not done in Star Wars very often in live action. One thing that I can say is that this episode is not at all what I expected, as a lot of us probably feel. I still think that the episode was really good. You know, they unified Mandalore. They took down Moff Gideon. I hope that this Moff Gideon is not a clone. I hope that, you know, we actually did end Moff Gideon, because the same villain for 4 seasons straight is gonna get kind of, you know, repetitive. We've already had him for 3 seasons, and that's why I was expecting in this finale, my expectations going in were the armor being evil, she betrays everyone, Moff Gideon gets the upper hand on the Mandalorians and kills most of the Mandalorians, which is why I thought that they weren't going to be in the sequel trilogy. I thought that that's how they were going to explain that. And then because Moff Gideon is going and taking out all of these Mandalorians and kind of doing his own thing, trying to take over the Empire himself with a clone army of himself, which is Force sensitive, I think that would raise, you know, an alarm with Thrawn, and Thrawn would show up and, you know, defeat Moff Gideon. But then, you know, that just leaves, you know, hopefully Mando and Bo escape with some of the more important Mandalorians. Hopefully they escape. Thrawn ends Moff Gideon, and that leads into the Ahsoka series. That's how I would have done it personally. So I think, you know, I think that it was kind of weird how they did it logically. I think that there was a better route that they could have taken. but I don't think that we can look at this episode in hindsight and say that it was a bad finale. I don't think that it was to the expectations of everyone because of, you know, some of the things that the producers said to hype up the episode. I don't think that the community has been very good about expecting cameos every single season, but that's also to the fault of, you know, Disney for putting something as big as Ahsoka and Luke and Boba Fett in season 2, and we didn't get really anything close to that in season 3. So I think, you know, the producers could do better at throwing us a bone. You know, if that's what they're going to do, if they're going to set the expectations of season 2 finale of Luke Skywalker in his fucking prime coming back, but in season 3 you don't get anything even close to that, I think that, you know, those expectations are they're too, the highs are high and the lows are too low. But, you know, I think it's just a mess right now. I think we can agree that season 3 was a bit of a mess, and I think that in season 4 we should set our expectations for what season 3 was, but I hope the producers give us what season 2 was like. And with that being said, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Did you guys like this episode? Do you think it did well? I mean, to me personally, I think it did really well. But, you know, I think we all could agree that we wanted a little bit more. But, you know, that's kind of to the fault of everyone, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love talking to you guys. I know that this might be more of a controversial video that I'm putting out, but that's the Star Wars community for you. Yeah, so if I'm being honest, the Star Wars community does not take Star Wars lightly whatsoever. They're very protective over this space baby. But, you know, if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to upload every single weekend, and then maybe some videos sprinkled throughout the week if I have time. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.